I was moved to create this video by the master of old Tai Chi, Earl Montague, thanks to him for the interesting knowledge he left behind. So, by the mid-50s, mankind had a better understanding of brain development and how it works. And in 1964, Paul MacLean, an American clinician and neuroscientist, proposed the evolutionary theory of the triple brain. According to his hypothesis, first there was an evolution of reactions, so the brain responsible for reactions, survival, hunting, sex and bodily movements, the scientist called the reptilian brain. It's located at the back and center of the brain and includes the brain stem and cerebellum. It's the brain of the oldest creatures on Earth. For reptiles, dinosaurs didn't need to think, they were pure mirrors. That kind of ancient Zen is a blank slate. There is no good or evil, no thoughts, only body reactions. Then, in the course of development, emotional responses were added. And that's how the mammalian brain was created. And eventually a third brain emerged, which already included thinking, logic and planning. MacLean confirmed his theory using visual inspection with instruments and the psychology of humans and animals. He determined the similarities and differences between the brains of different species of living things. And it turns out that lizards and humans have the same parts of the brain. From this he drew conclusions, the foundations of which are now firmly planted in the science of psychology. These parts are responsible for basic body functions such as breathing, balance and coordination, as well as survival, feeding and sex instincts. Scientifically, these parts are called brain stem, cerebellum and basal ganglia. This is the ancient lizard brain. So how are mammals different from lizards? Mammals have more complex emotions. Our emotions form a ring around areas of our lizard brain that evolved first on Earth. The mammalian brain also has an outer layer called the cortex, which helps us to control our emotions and make complex decisions. So how does it work and how can we use and develop it? When a baby is born, it has to rely solely on its instincts, its sensory perceptions and reflexes. The child has no way of knowing what is right and what is wrong. Therefore, there is little use in spanking a child or punishing him in any way until his next brain comes into play, so that it can learn. When a child is spanked, and he's still in reptilian brain mode, his only option is to go into survival mode. And since he can't fight back, he just cries. So it's very stupid to spank a child when it doesn't have the opportunity to learn. The child doesn't know that if he falls off the table, it's going to hurt a lot. But if it does, it will try to grab on and not fall. And in many cases, the child will instinctively not go over the edge of the table. Children under the age of 7 are trying to use their imaginative and artistic side of the brain to do the work of the logical side, which has not yet awakened. And parents force children to learn logical things from a young age, before their brains are even ready. It's like trying to tighten a nut using the wrong wrench. So if your kids are under 7 years old, develop their athletic, artistic and musical sides. Children learn well on their own through play. Therefore, the best learning for children is through play. Look at this. How different the children who grew up with TV and cell phones from the generations that grew up with old toys, and the latter from the generations that grew up with animals and forests. They all have different skills and abilities. And as they grow up, our children can technically improve their knowledge and skills. The reptilian brain helps us to survive through instincts and reactions. So a great way for children is to develop their communication directly with the reptilian brain. With balls, balance exercises, coordination, martial arts and acrobatics. This will stay with your child forever on a reflex level, like riding a bicycle. Let your child learn music and drawing. Also, the connection with the brain of the lizard is affected by certain shamanic sounds and the use of herbs and fly agaric. A man goes into a trance and becomes a berserker after a certain jolt to his dinosaur brain. Animals cannot deceive and lie, but people will do it, as the last brain in a human is the brain of thoughts and logic. As a rule, it is where a person is most of his life. What do all animals do when threatened? Every animal rounds its spine. Sharks do it, chickens do it, and the cat is the epitome of a C-shaped back before attacking or in defense. She doesn't think, she acts on instinct, on the level of her reptilian brain. Unlike humans, her connection to the reptilian brain is direct. From the second brain of emotion and behavior, she goes to the brain of reflexes. The human has to pass through the animal brain before reaching the lizard brain. By rounding our spine a bit and tucking our chin, we allow our lizard brain to take control of our consciousness and put us into survival mode. Because your spine is curved, there's a sensation just underneath your skull. In the brain stem or reptilian brain, your eyes become glassy. And you're ready. There is an increased flow of energy down your spine in an arc and straight into the lizard brain. Fighters do this instinctively, for survival purposes. In reality, they're tapping into the lizard's world. The experience and skills and reflexes acquired by man over millions of years of existence. It's believed to be where the memory of our past lives is stored. At first you only get access to a small part of your survival brain. But with practice you can automatically enter the reptilian brain. Try separating fighting dogs, especially a pit bull. When both dogs already have the lizard brain turned on, you will have to almost kill them to get them out of the reptilian brain. At that point, the dog is no longer a dog, but a reptile, devoid of anything other than a survival reflex. And humans are too complex, our lizard brain is too far behind us. So we have to relearn how to do it. However, just lifting or rounding your back won't work, it has to be a combination of everything. By doing this, we access the very powerful energy of the spine. When we look at each vertebrae, we notice that each one is like a small capacitor that can hold electricity. When we connect the vertebrae of the entire spine together, we access this tremendous power. That's why there are many spinal exercises called lizard, crocodile, alligator, turtle, sloth, and others in many martial arts and wellness systems. They help you with accessing the dinosaur brain. Often people who have had this kind of access for moments talk about time slowing down around you. Everything is slowing down. You'll be like a crocodile or a snake, an iguana. The snake doesn't look at you, it just waits motionless. However, it sees your every movement with peripheral vision, which you must develop in your training, which is one of the keys to entering the reptilian state and helping you survive. The snake does not need to move because you are not yet a threat, so it just waits. However, there comes a moment when you are too close and she will attack you without thinking, because the snake doesn't think but reacts. She doesn't think about what technique she will use. After that, it goes back to basking in the sun. So, when someone is in reptilian brain mode, they see through the eyes of a snake. Every tiny movement you will see without looking at it, without focusing on anything in particular. It's amazing how much you can see when you're in a lizard brain. And it's quite nice to be there. All three brains are interconnected and depend on each other for the daily functioning of the body, for which they are responsible. So we can use this feature to access the most powerful survival brain of all, using our conscious brain. If you are in a situation where you are likely to be attacked, you should gently draw your chin in and exhale. When you do this, it will give you the physical expression and feeling of the lizard brain area, allowing your mind to focus on that area. Your eyes will become cool and calm, as does your entire body. The reptilian brain can only be used for survival, that's what it's designed for. A snake will never attack for no reason. No reptile will ever attack you, unless it's for survival or food. The lizard brain is capable of helping you survive. Survival means not only surviving physical attack, but also against disease and pathogenic attack. The reptilian state helps the body heal. Developing a connection to the lizard brain through coordination, balance, acrobatics, ball stuffing and exercises to work and connect your spine, as well as massage movements like heavenly drumming on the back of your head. Your reflexive, moment-to-moment movements, without thought or intelligence is your entry into the lizard brain. Mental exercises and meditations help develop this chain of interactions. After all, you remove first thoughts, logic, then emotions. The brain frees itself and becomes a pure reflexive mirror. Very interesting work with the brain of the reptilian brain in sex. Everyone knows that touching the hair on the back of the neck, kissing the back of the neck, causes women have direct access to the lizard brain. It's a strong attraction, a withdrawal from the world of thought and emotion to somewhere outside. That's how the lizard brain works. You are simply the animal passion of the dinosaurs. We still know very little about the brain. The scientific world has taken such a theory badly and simply denies it. The world of fools always denies everything. But psychologists are now actively using the reptilian brain theory. It explains almost everything that happens to people. And remember, what you accumulate over millions of years of human development is stored in your part of the lizard brain. And it takes millions of years to change the reptilian brain into other abilities and skills. And each of us, in case of danger, life-threatening or passionate, becomes a wild and unbridled lizard.
Не мог не обратить внимания. Это сапоги из ящерицы?
Да, сэр, они самые. Сделаны в Техасе, как и я.
Мои зацени. Сделаны в Италии, как и мой отец.
Ну, ничего себе.